Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia, another edition of the Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C., your host. Today's topic, the concerning lobbying efforts of the Weah administration. The CDC government of President Weah came to power in 2018 upon its victory in 2017. In no time, the CDC got to work early 2018 and initiated serious lobbying efforts. And all of the efforts have been to lobby Washington, that is the United States of America. The CDC has been so frantic and has been so unrelenting and even financially aggressive than any other government in our nation's history. The CDC has been doing everything to get the attention of the U.S. government. Rightfully so, any Liberian government will want to be in good books with the United States of America. But the United States of America also has its own standards, its principles, the principle of democracy, the principle of the rule of law. We're talking about justice issues, and you name it all. And so, folks, the Liberian government has been lobbying Washington for the obvious reason of netting significant budgetary support and investment, cooperation in the area of democracy, human rights, and all other issues, gearing towards the advancement, the development of our country, Liberia. My name is Anthony C., and the topic is the concerning lobbying efforts of the Weah administration. Now, is the Weah administration lobbying efforts suggest anything questionable, anything sinister? Others are suggesting there might be some kind of money laundering through some bad channels to make it legitimate to the greater extent. Is that what is at play here? And for your information, the Liberian government has been able to sign over 16 contracts with the U.S. government through about 18 lobbying firms and individuals included when it comes to lobbying the U.S. government. And so, folks, I have all the contracts, the time those contracts were initiated, and if all those contracts were terminated or at some point extended, we have the facts here. And so in no time, we will get to business. Let us, folks, get started with this topic that will be educative, informative, and investigative. Let's do it.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony C.A. in this presentation of the Hour of Politics. This is a special edition, by the way, and this is an investigative edition of the Hour of Politics. We are investigating and reporting the frantic lobbying efforts of the Weah administration, lobbying no other government other than the United States government. The government of the United States knows Liberia from the get-go. So, and we can even debate that the U.S. was instrumental in the establishment of the state Liberia. And so this is not a country that is, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, that is foreign to the United States. Neither is the United States foreign to Liberia. Traditionally, you know, the diplomats would tell us we have that America is our traditional friend, our traditional ally. And many people even say Liberia is like a stepchild of Liberia. I would not say that, you know, based on the fact that I've listened to so many historians and I've read extensively, you know, to understand, you know, most of the things. But that is not the point. Let's get to the business here. This is an investigation. The information we are about to present to you, there's a research done by Globe Afrique. Is an investigative online news magazine that does reporting and also investigative reporting. And they've been able to go to the U.S. State Department, U.S. Department of Justice website, where all lobbying firms are registered and all other contracts that they have signed with foreign governments are also filed for the sake of transparency and accountability, so that there cannot be anything such as money laundering or any other, you know, financial dealings that are against U.S. laws and also in keeping with best practices. And so the data that we have in our possession has been pulled from the U.S. Department of Justice website. And we also read a detailed investigative article carried by Globe Afrique. And Globe Afrique also pulled that particular data from the U.S. Department of Justice website. And Focus on Liberia has been privileged to have the entire thing in our possession as we speak, and we are going to lay it out for you. We want to say a very big thank you for Globe Afrique for reaching out to us. I mean, actually, we reached out to them, and they were able to relay that information to us. And so we're going to go step by step. So
at Focus on Liberia, we discuss.
Sorry about that. So 2018 was that year when the CDC got to business in no time in lobbying Washington. The first contract, the registration date is March the 5th, 2018. What firm? The firm is called Fraudlender Group. So the Liberian government reached out to the Fraudlender Group on March 5th of 2018, just about the time they got elected. They wasted no time. The reason, to facilitate meeting between U.S. Congress and delegates of the Liberian government, all right? And they started that with the U.S. Embassy. So let's talk some money here, right? So they started that on March the 5th, 2018, and that contract was terminated on October the 30th, 2018. Now, what we're talking money here, folks. The contract amount that was paid or to be paid or negotiated to be paid per year was 80,000 United States dollars. So the Liberian government has signed a lobbying contract with this particular lobbying firm and paid or was scheduled based on the contract to be paying 80,000 United States dollars to that particular lobbying firm. Now, the amount paid to the lobby that was recorded and filed and documented by the Department of Justice is $20,000. Now, the unpaid amount that has not been documented by the Ministry of Finance is $60,000. The question is, the $60,000 that were not paid and that was not documented on the U.S. Department of Justice website, was it actually paid or was it not paid? But we want to also let you know the contract was terminated on the 3rd, on the 30th of October 2018. The contract was $80,000 to be paid per year to that particular.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss every.
Sorry about that. I don't know why my mouse is doing this.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts.
Sorry about that. I don't know what is going on here. So the second contract that was signed by the Liberian government with a lobbying firm was August 22nd, 2018. So in 2018, they signed another contract, and the two contracts they signed in 2018. The second one, August 22, 2018, with KRL International. What was the amount we're talking about? And there was Wesson Garfin's administration. Wesson Garfin at the time was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and that contract terminated September 6, 2018. What happened? The contract failed to be disclosed. In other words, they did not disclose the contract. The Liberian government have reached a contract with this particular lobbying firm. Wesson Garfin was the Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time. The total amount of the contract was not disclosed based on the records that we pull with the help of Globe Affairs.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything.
This is unusual. Why is this happening? This is unusual. I'm not the one doing this. Why is this happening? All right, sorry about that, folks, for the interruption there. So that particular contract, the amount of the contract that was signed with KRL International to lobby for the Liberian government, to lobby Washington, the amount was not disclosed by the Liberian government, was not reported to the U.S. government. So we did not know how much was in that particular contract. Now,
at Focus on Liberia, we discuss.
I don't know why is this happening. I don't know why is this happening. This is unusual that, our system here will automatically, broadcast something like this. This is unusual. Folks, bear with me here. Let me make some adjustment here. Bear with me here. Okay. I hope that will correct that. Sorry about the interruption, because this is a very, very important presentation. So after that contract, the third contract signed was on March 26, 2019. So in 2019, they signed two in 2018. And so now in 2019, they signed one with the Greenberg or Torrey LLP. All right. What is the amount for this contract? That contract, like I said, started in March 26, 2019. And the contract was terminated. The termination date was October 15, 2019. What is the contracted amount per year? They have contracted that particular firm to lobby on its behalf in the amount of 250,000 United States dollars. So the Liberian government of President Weah had contracted this firm, and with the amount of $250,000 per year to pay this firm to be able to talk to Washington for attention and you know the rest. Now the amount paid to that particular lobbyist, all right, that lobbying firm was $174,850. Again, $174,000 was paid to this particular firm, even though the contract was $250,000 per year. The Liberian government, based on the records that we have in our possession, was able to pay $174,800. The amount that has not been reported to have been paid is 75,150. That is the third contract. Now let's come to the fourth contract. The fourth contract was initiated January 23rd, 2020. KRL International again. What is the amount for this contract? 140,000 United States dollars. The termination date for the particular contract, actually, according to the contract here, is April 21st, 2022. The amount here is 140,000 United States dollars. Amount paid to the particular lobbying firm based on the record we have here is zero. Now, amount unpaid by the Ministry of Finance, 250,000. The Ministry of Finance paid 180,000. That is $100,000 remaining to be unpaid. All right, let me progress here. Let's come to the fifth contract here was initiated February 26, 2020. Again, the KRL International. What amount we're talking about here? The same $140,000. So let's go to the sixth contract here. The sixth contract was initiated, all right, April 28, 2021, and February 14, 2020. This time, the lobbying firm is the Brownstein. Brownstein was the one contracted. Who was the lead? The foreign principal. The foreign principal is the one who is negotiating the contract on behalf of the Liberian government. That person is Eugene Namwe. And the first contract I told you about, this, the one on Western Garfine was Western Garfine. The contract with the Greenberg, which is the March 26 contract of 2019. Samuel D12 was the foreign principal, meaning he was the one representing the Liberian government in the negotiation of the contract. And then this one I just talked about, what's his name? Eugene Namwe. Eugene Namwe is the foreign principal, meaning he is the one negotiating on behalf of the Liberian government. So for this particular contract that we're talking about, which is the sixth contract that is signed with the Bernstein firm, Eugene Namwe was the principal foreign agent for the he was the foreign principal, for the Liberian government. 120,000 United States dollars. The same Eugene Namwe again, representing the Liberian government in April 28, 2021 with the same firm, the Bernstein. Okay, Eugene Namwe again as the foreign principal, meaning the guy representing the Liberian government in the negotiation of the particular lobbying contract. This time around, we are talking 300,000 United States dollars is what the Liberian government negotiated to pay this particular firm. Now, the amount that has been paid to this particular firm is unknown, even though it was negotiated that $300,000 was scheduled to be paid to the firm for the contract. There's no record whether the Liberian government actually paid that money to this particular firm. Now, they may have paid and also might not have disclosed this, like in one of the first contracts I talked about. They did not disclose the total amount that was paid. With the one Western Garfine negotiated, they did not disclose the amount, so there's not known how much the Liberian government spent for that particular contract. Okay, so let's go to the seventh contract here. That was negotiated June 2nd, 2021. The lobbying firm is Incorporated DB, called Global Incorporated. That is the firm. Paul Kennedy, Minister of Health, was the foreign principal here negotiating on behalf of the Liberian government. The amount 240,000. The amount that has been disclosed to be paid was a 240,000. So we got to know that the amount negotiated was actually paid to the firm to carry on the lobbying effort on behalf of the Liberian government. The eighth contract, DLA Piper US LLP, is the name of this lobbying firm. All right. The foreign principal here negotiating on behalf of the Liberian government is called Liska LLC. Many of you might know Liska. Okay. So there are no details on this particular one, but they started negotiation with that for that to happen. Also, in September, this is the 10th contract. The 10th contract, Carbon Threat Agency is the firm that the Liberian government reached out to. Who was the negotiating or agent for the Liberian government, or who represented the Liberian government in the negotiation of this one? Samuel D. Tuer, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He's the one who was representing the Liberian government in the negotiation of this contract. The amount of the contract, 240,000 United States dollars. And based on our record, they have been able to pay 15,000, and the total amount that is yet to be disclosed as paid to this particular lobbying firm is 225,000. Whether or not they pay the money, there are no record showing that the amount has been paid. And for the contract, it was a 3 years contract at 240,000 per year. That is the details of the contract that Samuel Tuer has reached with this firm on behalf of the Liberian government, that it was a 3 years contract, and every year the Liberian government, based on the contract, should be paying, or was to be paying, this particular firm 240,000 per year. This contract extend past President Weah's term because the contract continued. It was a 3 years contract signed, and the contract extend way beyond President Weah's term. President Weah's term ends next year, 2023, but this contract extend all the way to 2024. Why are they doing that? All right, let's come to another lobbying contract that the Liberian government reached. That is the 11th contract that is signed with the Carbon Threat Agency. Again, this is the second time they are reaching out to this particular firm, and this time the foreign principal, the guy representing the Liberian government, again, is your finance minister, Minister Samuel D. Tuer, and also Mr. Nathaniel Mangay. He is the foreign principal number 2. Foreign principal number 2, the one I talked about earlier, in which I call Samuel Tuer name as the foreign principal. Samuel Tuer is the foreign principal number 1, Nathaniel Mangay, foreign principal number 2. So being that the two individuals negotiated this contract on behalf of the Liberian government to pay this money to the lobbying firm to talk to Washington, the U.S. government, on the Liberian government's behalf. Samuel Tuer, number 1, Nathaniel Mangay, number 2, negotiated this particular contract to pay the firm $240,000 per year, and it was a 3 years contract that extends way beyond 2023, which is President Weah's first term. All right, so let's come to the 12th contract. The 12th contract was signed with a lobbying firm called Ask Middle Strategies LLC, and it was initiated September 1st, 2021. Again, the person representing the Liberian government in negotiation of this lobbying contract with the firm is Samuel Tuer. Foreign principal number 2, Nathaniel Mangay. So you can see Nathaniel Mangay and Samuel Tuer here, they have taken charge here. They are negotiating, they are reaching out to the lobbyists, spending money, to get Washington's attention. So again, this one is the 3rd contract in which Nathaniel Mangay and Samuel Tuer were the one negotiating, trying to strike the deal between the lobbying firm and the Liberian government. So the 3rd one, that Samuel Tuer and Nathaniel Mangay spearheaded the negotiation. The amount we're talking about here is 300,000 United States dollars, based on the records that have been pulled from the U.S. Justice Department website. The Liberian government paid $74,950 to the firm. Every year, 300,000. They have disclosed and reported that they have paid $74,000 to this firm. The total amount that has not been disclosed to have been paid is $225,000. Now, let's talk about the contract. It's a 3 years contract at 300,000 per year. This contract also extends way beyond 2023. So you will know that this is the third contract the Liberian government has signed with a lobbying firm that extends way beyond the administration's first term. And these three contracts were negotiated on behalf of the Liberian government by Minister Samuel D. Weah and Minister Nathaniel Mangill. All right. So during the negotiation of this particular contract, the Liberian government purchased airfare for Roland Mountain and others to travel to Liberia. Some of you who don't know Roland Mountain, he's a broadcast journalist. At some point, he was working for the Liberian government. He attended the Liberian Bicentennial, and so the Liberian government facilitated his travel to Liberia in an effort to also lobby Washington. Three contracts negotiated by Samuel Weah and Nathaniel Mangill. One, 300,000. Two of them, $240,000 per year to be paid to the firm, and the third one negotiated by Samuel Weah and Nathaniel Mangill, 300,000 per year. And out of the three contracts, two of them, $240,000 per year. The third one, 300,000 per year. All three extend way beyond President Weah's first term. Why? I don't know. Now, there's another contract they also signed. They signed this one in the very September of 2021. Now, in September of 2021, they negotiated three different contracts just in September of 2021. The second one negotiated in September of 2021 was negotiated or signed or reached with Strong Public Affairs by Bokari Sellers. Bokari Sellers is a Democratic, he's a former representative, I believe, of South Carolina. I'm not strong on that, but I believe it's South Carolina. He represented the state of South Carolina. He's I think, state representative of South Carolina. But he's a Democratic strategist. He's a Democratic surrogate. And so he's, might be one of the favorites in the Democratic Party. The Liberian government have reached a deal with Bokari Sellers, to lobby on his behalf. This particular contract was negotiated. The principal, the foreign principal. Foreign principal means the person representing the foreign government in the negotiation of the lobbying contract. That's what they call foreign principal. Again, Samuel Weah, and this time Nathaniel Mangill was not in the picture. The foreign principal number two, Musa Dean, who happened to be Liberia's current justice minister, he and Samuel Weah were the foreign principals, the guys who negotiated on behalf of the Liberian government in securing this contract, the lobbying contract for the Liberian government, again to talk to the U.S. government. How much are we talking about here? 120,000 United States dollars to be given to Bokari Sellers to lobby on behalf of the Liberian government so that Washington can be able to smile with the Liberian government. Based on the records that we have in our possession, $15,000 was reported to have been paid to Bokari Sellers' firm. All right. The total amount that is yet to be reported as paid is $140,000. Whether or not that was paid, we don't know because that has not been reported. That has not been captured based on the record of the U.S. Department of Justice. All of these findings need to be disclosed, need to be reported so that there can be transparency, so that there can be any possibility of money laundering. The U.S. government wants to know that this huge amount being spent by foreign government just to lobby Washington, they should disclose the amount, who the amounts being paid to, and for what reason needs to be known, right? But based on the report we have here, only $15,000 was reported to have been given to the firm, and $250,000 is yet to be disclosed. Now, we also want to make clear, all right, for this contract, it's a 3-year contract that was signed, and basically, like I said earlier, $240,000 per year. The contract extends past President Weah's term. So this is the fourth contract that they reach with a lobbying firm that extends beyond or goes beyond President Weah's first term. Now we will continue with the 11th contract here. The 11th contract, let me see, now the 17th contract, sorry. The 17th contract was also signed with the same, the 17th contract was signed with the Bala Partners, all right? Bala Partners signed the 17th contract, all right? And in this particular contract, Samuel D. Twer and Musa Dean again having to be the foreign principal. Foreign principal meaning, I got to emphasize that, the person representing the foreign government. In this case, the business is happening here in the United States. So Liberia now is the foreign country. The person representing Liberia is the foreign agent or the foreign principal, they call it. So Samuel Twer and Musa Dean again representing Liberia in negotiating the lobbying contract on behalf of the Liberian government. Now, this is the one that came to the public as a wow. What is the amount we are talking about here? 900,000 United States dollars. 900,000 United States dollars was the amount for the contract reached between the Liberian government and the lobbying firm just to get America's attention. Now, based on the record we have in our possession, there has not been any report of payment made to this firm as yet. The payment may have been made, some payment might have been made, but that is yet to be disclosed. That is yet to be reported to the U.S. Department of Justice. So based on the recent record that has been pulled from the U.S. Department of Justice, there is no indication of any amount being paid as yet. A payment may have been made and may not have been reported, and so it is yet to be captured by the U.S. Department of Justice. Okay, so we don't have that information. Maybe they did, and that has not been disclosed. And this particular contract, we don't know if it extends beyond President Weah's term as well. Now that we have gone through so succinctly through about the 18 contracts, 18 different contracts signed with the Liberian government, and the 18th one was negotiated just July. We in August, right? Just last month, July 8th of 2022, this year, again with KRL International. That is the lobbying firm. All right. The services here include activities will include advising, counseling, and assisting the foreign principal in communication with the U.S. government officials, U.S. business entity, and non-governmental audience to enhance U.S. government of Liberia bilateral relations, they said. Okay, so in this particular one, Eugene Namwe, who is the commissioner for Liberia Maritime Affairs, he is the principal, the foreign principal, the guy representing the Liberian government in this particular one. The amount for this particular contract is 240,000 United States dollars. Based on the record that we have in our possession, there has not been any disclosure whether they have paid some of the money. It has not been reported to the U.S. Department of Justice. So there's no record whether or half or some of the $240,000, which is the yearly amount to be paid to the firm, has been made. There's no record of that. Now, let's break the numbers down for you. If you look at all of the 18 contracts the Liberian government has signed or reached with lobbying firms just to lobby the United States government alone, on the average, you will find out that the Liberian government is spending, based on the record, based on the agreement reached, holding everything constant. The Liberian government, all right, was on schedule to spend 3.3 million United States dollar on lobbying contracts alone, just to lobby Washington. I repeat, if you put all the contracts they signed within the 5 years periods of this administration, if you total the amount for each of the 18 contracts and you take the years into consideration, 5 years in power, and you average it, you will come to realize that the Liberian government has reached contracts with the US, with lobbying firms to lobby the US government in the amount of 3.3 million United States dollars every year. That is the record. So in a year's period, holding everything constant, by then living up to the terms of the agreements or contracts that they reach with the foreign firms or these lobbying firms to lobby on their behalf, holding everything constant, everything being on schedule, you will come to realize that the Liberian government has been on par, on record, all right, to be spending 3.3 million United States dollars every year just to get the attention of Washington. So what we want to do here is to say, why is the Liberian government doing all this? Is lobbying a bad thing? It depends on what kind of lobbying that you are doing. Their way of lobbying, reaching out to lobbying firms to give them several hundred thousands of dollars, especially the one that they reach in the amount of 900,000. The other one, 300,000. Majority of them around 240,000. Some around, another amounts that I read earlier, right? So these are huge amounts that the Liberian government are giving out to these firms. And these are predominant foreign firms that they are giving these amount of monies to just for them to get America's attention. Can the Liberian government get the U.S. attention without spending this so much money? I would say yes. And the Liberian government will go to save all of this money and use it to benefit the Liberian people. And there are ways they could actually get the U.S. government's attention. The U.S. government have standards. I talked earlier about the principle of democracy, the principle of the rule of law, justice, meaning that if Liberia as a country would do everything to practice democracy in a fair and participatory manner, that Liberia improve a human rights record, the issue of transparency and accountability. The U.S. government is against corruption. In fact, the U.S. government has a policy in which it sees corruption as a threat to its national security interests. Liberia in particular, the U.S. government have been spending millions and millions of dollars in Liberia. Bulk of the money, all we see is just signposts of projects being carried on, and we don't see the impact. The U.S. is saying this is against its national security interests because when individuals, especially those in government, are siphoning these kind of money being set aside by the U.S. government for the improvement of lives in Liberia, and these monies are ending up in the pockets of government officials, the citizens get angry. Chances are that there will be uprising in the country. Chances that the country might go into serious conflict. And when conflict erupts, you risk going into a failed state. And when you have a failed state, you have chaos in your hand. Now the U.S. government, as it's always done, will have to spend more money now to deal with that particular issue. So the U.S. government is saying, no, this is a national security threat to us. The principle of democracy that we believe in will not be undermined with our own money. And they are also afraid that when these things are not done, terrorists and all might enter certain countries and might intend to undermine the U.S. National security. So another important piece that I want to bring to you, if Liberian government can do everything to meet the U.S. standards in the area of democracy, in the area of human rights, in the area of accountability and transparency, all right, doing well in the area of education, in the area of health, where the U.S. is pumping money, in the area of agriculture where the US is pumping money, other countries are pumping money. If our government is doing so much well in those areas, our government can say, hey, see what you have given us. See what you have contributed to us. This is what we've been able to do. If only you can give us more, we can do more and be able to reduce poverty and be able to increase development and make life comfortable for our citizens. Then the Liberian government will be in good books with the US government. I believe that is the best lobbying effort that any government should be able to deploy. Because the US will not give you significant money if you are failing flat on your credentials. If you are failing flat on your government credentials are named there earlier: democracy, accountability, human rights record, freedom of press, and all of these things. Your justice system that is working in the interest, and that justice is not for sale, but in Liberia is the opposite. When you as a government, when you are doing all of these things, what will happen is the government of the United States will be in good books, or you will be in good books with the US government. I believe that is the best way, because you can get all of these monies to all of the lobbying firms. The US government decision to allot any budgetary funding to your government will be based on these, government credentials, these benchmarks, these standards that the US cherishes and promotes. If you are able to meet them, the US government will give you money. You don't have to give several, millions of dollars or several thousands of dollars to individuals who just sit in Washington and collect this amount of money. When you consider yourself as a pro government, and these are monies that you can use to improve health, to improve electricity, and to improve just about everything that we need in our country. So we have the US ambassador right there. You can lobby the US ambassador right there, and he will be able to report to Washington that this government is doing well, they deserve more funding. So here is the thing: if you don't understand it, let me break it down further. In America, there is something that's called credit. Credit is your honesty to take money from the bank, and your discipline to pay back and on time and without missing any payment. So you are credited. A record is created that you are a good borrower. You borrow money and you pay back and you pay on time. Then you get credit. So when you have a good credit, and those of you in America can relate to this, if you have a good credit, you can walk to the bank today and say, hey, I want $5,000 and it'll be given to you. If you have a consistent, excellent credit record, if your credit record shows that you have borrowed in the past and you have paid, anytime you want to borrow, the bank will give you that money. It may not be just cash. It can be house. It can be car. It can be anything for which you need money. Because you have a good credit rating, they don't want to know your money. They don't want to know where you come from. They will give you the money because you have good credit. So that is the same with democratic credential of any country, governing credentials of any country. If you are doing well, if your governing credentials are in the right place and you're doing very well with them, you don't have to worry. You can sit in your country and phone to Washington or phone to the embassy and tell them what in areas that you want help, what you've done. They will come to you and they will contribute to you. If you are doing so poorly, because here's the thing: if your credit score is bad, it does not matter how many times you apply. You can apply to all the banks, you will be denied. That is the situation with the Liberian government. The Liberian government has reached 18 contracts with lobbying firms. 16 contracts with lobbying firms just to get the US attention. It is that somebody that got bad credit and applying to all the banks, trying to get a loan for a car. When that person knows that because your credit is bad, you will not get approved. If for any reason you will get approved, the interest will be high, and that will punish you. So this is the situation the Liberian government is in. Now, you might want to know, it is the Liberian government alone that is engaged into this massive and frantic lobbying efforts. We have some record here. So let's look at the ECOWAS region. Let us now go around the whole of Africa. Maybe I will call some African countries name too. Let's look at countries in Africa if they are lobbying. Let's talk about just some countries in Africa. Now, Benin, as we speak, has 0 lobbying contract with the US government. Burkina Faso has 0 lobbying contract, all right, for the US government. In other words, it has no lobbying contract with any firm to lobby the US government. All right. La Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast has 1 active lobbying contract, and it signed the one February the 6th, 1995. Since then, that is the only lobbying contract the government of Ivory Coast has on file to lobby the US government. And the particular contract is still active, meaning that they are still paying the amount they agree to pay the firm to continue to lobby the US government. 1 contract. But the Liberian government, that is a stepchild to the US government, arguably, that is a traditional friend to the US government, has signed about 18 contracts to lobby the US government. Why? It's like a child who is begging his father and calling about 18 neighbors to beg his father for something that they need for that father. Doesn't that raise eyebrows? So let's continue. The government of Gambia have 0 lobbying contract right now. I think they are using their money to improve, the material condition of its citizens. The government of Ghana, as we speak, has 1 lobbying contract with KRL International, and the total amount the Ghanaian government is paying is $20,000 per month to this particular lobbying firm to lobby on behalf of the Ghanaian government, to lobby the US government. The Ghana has only 1 contract signed with a lobbying firm to lobby America. Liberia has had about 18 or 16 contracts to lobby just this one US government. The government of Guinea, 0 contract. Guinea-Bissau, 0. Liberia, 16 active registrant with 18 lobbying contracts within the past 4 years. Think about that. Liberia has 16 active contracts with 18 lobbying firms in just 4 years period. Why the government of Mali has none? Why the government of Niger has none? Why the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has none? Why the government of Senegal has none? Why the government of Sierra Leone has none? Why the government of Togo has none? Why the government of Benin has none? Why the government of Burkina Faso has none? Why the government of Gambia has none? Why the government of Guinea-Bissau has none? Why the government of Guinea has none? Liberia has 16 to lobby United States of America. I would think it should be the government of Guinea that should be having about 16 to lobby US because of the history. Historically speaking, we America have been in this place for all the years. Where is this desperation coming from? Now, Globe Afrique is reporting and is suggesting, based on its intelligence, that the Liberian government, this is Globe Afrique suspicion, that the Liberian government, through these representatives of the Liberian government, lobbying these firms in the name of securing, the U.S. government attention, that the Liberian government or the representative of Liberian government may have been up to something yet, that they might have been up to something yet. And Globe Afrique is suspecting that the Liberian government might actually now be paying all of this amount to this firm and might be diverting some of these amounts for their personal use. Or they might be using these firms to get their money clean so that they can be able to use the money for purposes they actually intended. Glo-Afri is saying it makes absolutely no sense that a government would be this aggressive, one contract after the other, 16 with 18 firms in 4 years period, in which on the average, holding every contract constant, the Liberian government have been spending around $3.3 million a year. Glo-Afri is suspecting that these officials might be laundering this particular money or these amounts, and that they are using these firms to be able to channel their money to places they wanted so that those money cannot be traced to them and also for their use. That is Glo-Afri suspicion. And so they continue their investigation. So, folks, this is the investigative report that we have brought to your attention. The pro-poor government of Liberia has signed 16 lobbying contracts with 18 lobbying firms, and we are talking about 3.3 million a year if you put everything all together. Some of these contracts, I counted about 4 of them extend beyond President Weah's first term up to 2024. One in the tune of 900,000, another one in the tune of 300,000 per year, a good number of them in the tune of 240,000 per year being paid to these firms by the Liberian government. This is the pro-poor government. Is the Liberian government spending this kind of amount on the MCSS schools? Is the Liberian government spending this kind of amount on the schools in areas like Riverside? And folks, we're going to show you some images here to enhance the presentation here quickly. So let's look at some schools, right? This is a school in Riverside. What can the Liberian government spend? $300,000, and they will be able to build good schools for the citizens in Riverside County. This is a school in Riverside County. But why the Liberian government is refusing to do that, does not see the need to do that, the Liberian government is giving this huge amount of money to individuals who are well off. And why that happens, the Liberian minister, Nathaniel Mange, the man who calls himself the pro-poor minister, this is why he built for his mother. Look at why he built for his mother. His dead mother, not his living mother, his dead mother. This is the house for Mange's mother's grave. She was buried, and he built a house housing his mother's grave. See how beautiful it is? But look at the school in Riverside County. Can you see that? And for those who might have been wondering where we got the information from, this is the United States Department of Justice. FARA is FARA, is the Foreign Agent Registration Act. It is a law that was passed by the United States government many years ago, requiring foreign agents, individuals who want to lobby with the U.S. government through firms, for them to report just about any amount, any contract, for the sake of transparency and accountability, and to avoid any possibility of money laundering. But based on the report that we gave you, these firms are registered in the U.S. government with the United States government. The Liberian government lobbies these firms. They pay some money to them, and there are instances we don't have record of them disclosing the amounts that they pay to these particular firms. Whether these monies were actually paid to some of these firms, we don't know, because those amounts have not been reported. Those amounts cannot be seen on the U.S. Department of Justice website. Now, holding to the fact that there is a possibility that the U.S. government, the Liberian government, because there are records that show that some of this money that the Liberian government intended to use for lobbying, some of this money were pulled from the Central Bank of Liberia. They took the money intended for these lobbying firms to be paid from the Central Bank of Liberia. But there's no record of this amount being disclosed as paid to this firm. Some of them. Why? So if in the case where or if a possibility exists, the fact is that some of these monies were withdrawn from the Central Bank of Liberia for the purpose of paying this lobbying firm. That we can say for a fact. What we don't know in some instances with this contract is the fact that no record of the Liberian government, though withdrawing the money from the central bank for the purpose of paying these lobbying firms, there's no record that the payment has been made because it has not been reported by the Liberian government or the contracting lobbying firm to the U.S. Department of Justice. That has not been done. So in the case or in cases where that has not been done, where did the money go? Why the money has not been reported to the U.S. Department of Justice? We want to know. So Globe Afrique looking at that is saying, well, maybe money laundering might be going on here. For a Liberian government to be lobbying with U.S. government in this aggressive faction like we've never seen before in the history of Liberia, all across Africa, no country, no African country has been able to aggressively lobby the U.S. government in this faction. This should not be coming from a Liberian government, a pro-poor government for that matter. To have 16 contracts averaging 3.3 million a year in expenditure. It is unbelievable. Globe Afrique is saying there is more to this. There might be something going on here that we might be missing. Globe Afrique is reporting. We got credible information that the report by Globe Afrique has been picked up by some actors in Washington, and they are looking into it because, like we said in our topic, this kind of lobbying is very concerning. It is questionable. It raises eyebrows. Even the Ellen Johnson administration did not have about 16 contracts. 16. Ellen did not have that. Why? And if you look at some of the reason for this contract, like the one with Liska, like Eugene Namwe signed, right? It said here to promote Liska's interest in the United States. Liska is the agency that is, managing Liberia maritime affairs. All right. So to promote it, and you're spending all of this money. I don't know if the records still hold that Liberia at some point was one of the largest in terms of ship registration. In other words, most ships were flying Liberia flag more than most countries in the world. So Liberia should be netting very good money. So what's the point of promoting and spending all of this money? If only you can maintain those one and have a very good, what we call customer service with them, you should be able to do business with them and save that money. And, they spend some of their money and give these amounts to the lobbying firm because they want these firms to be able to lobby the White House for President Weah to come and visit. If President Weah wants to come and visit, the U.S. has its principle. These are the things you will do. And once your human rights record, your record on democracy, transparency records, all of these things are good, the U.S. government will invite you. But the Liberian government has been spending all of this money, more so just for President Weah to come and in some instances take picture. And I will be fair to them. It's not more about picture taking. It has also been more so that they will be able to get, funding from the U.S. government. But they love picture taking. They want the morale. The president visited, or invited. And it's a disgrace and embarrassment for the Weah government. And this is in addition to Charles Taylor, that was an unusual government, by the way. Even Samuel Doe, who came to power through brutal means, he assassinated, people on post as we know it. He came to the United States. I believe that was Ronald Reagan's time. President Doe went to the White House and he met the U.S. president. This is an icon of football, who came to power. and he can meet the U.S. president. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf met Bush. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf met Obama. I mean, it has become difficult for President Weah to be invited officially by the U.S. government. Joe was invited. Ellen was invited. President Weah has now, so the CDC strategy has been, let's find a way so as to remove the narrative out of our way. So that is what we have for you. It has been an investigative reporting on the Liberian government lobbying efforts that are concerning, questionable, suspicious, and also raises serious eyebrows, because the Liberian government is lobbying like no other African country that we've ever come to know. Most African countries have zero. Nearly all of them have just one, while the Liberian government has 16. And of that 16, they have 18 contracts. And I will continue to remind you, they are spending on an average $3.3 million a year just to get United States attention. They could have done that through the embassy. Samuel Tuer and Mange came here 2 times. They met officials of the U.S. government. It did not happen. Why do they think the lobbyists will do it for them? They themselves can do it. Well, folks, I have to leave you very soon here. Right now, as we speak, if you are watching Focus on Liberia on your big screen, most of our viewers watch us on YouTube, and they are watching it on their television. That's the brilliance, right? If you are watching us on YouTube, if you have a smart TV, you just go to YouTube and type Focus on Liberia, and then you'll be able to see the presentation or the broadcast on your TV, just as you're watching CNN. This is the new age. So this came from Dr. Duke. Dr. Duke is watching us. Dr. Dukley is watching us on the big screen, on YouTube, on his TV, and he's listening to the presentation right now, and he sent a shout to us. Dr. Duke, we want to say thank you so very much. And so if you are watching Focus on Liberia on YouTube, we want you to watch us on YouTube more, because it gives you the ability to be able to watch it on your big screen TV and enjoy the presentation. Dr. Duke, we want to say thank you for watching us and also sending us a shot. If you are doing that right now, send a shot to me. We'll play it on the screen to recognize you, because we will not be here if you don't follow what we do here. So, folks, this is how we will be breaking down the curtains here. I will take a very, very short break. And when I come back, I will be closing the broadcast, and I'll be giving my closing. I see folks. I saw a comment here. Somebody asking me about Canada. Yes, Focus on Liberia was invited to Canada by the Liberian Association of Canada. Mr. Leo Napulu Johnson is the president of the Liberian Association of Canada. He is providing excellent leadership there. The association there is strong, financially strong, is in better standing. We see some love there. So Focus on Liberia was invited. If you go on our Facebook page, we cover all the major events, and we have been able to report. So if you are watching, or if you're having your convention, you might be Bon County, Nimba County, whatever organization, you can reach out to Focus on Liberia. Just for a fraction of a donation, we will be able to provide free coverage for you with quality and brilliance. As our needs say, we are focused on Liberia. So we are focusing on the Liberian people, Liberian institutions, Liberian businesses. Everything Liberia is what we are all about. It was a nice time in Canada. I enjoyed my time. I can't wait again to represent my institution, to be invited to any other event, to be able to cover it. We should be who we are, be proud of who we are, do business with ourselves, elevate what we are, and that is what Focus on Liberia is all about. I will take a short break, and when I come back, I will be giving you a succinct closing. And this one will be political. It's not just the presentation. You want to wait for that closing, and I'm sure you will love it. So, folks, a short break, and I will be bringing the closing. Stay tuned. And so, folks, this is how I will close today's edition of the Hour of Politics. CDC came to power in 2018. Many shed tears of joy. Weah himself cried. Many young people in our country were excited. Their hope was so high, or their hopes were so high. They were sure they elected somebody who they saw as their kind. Not only that, they had believed that he will fight for them. He was their excellent representation. He was everything about them. And so they were hopeful. And they also did everything to see him elected because they wanted a seat at the table. They felt that they have not had that opportunity to do so. And President Weah was that embodiment. He was that representation. He was that their kind. He was the one who spoke like them. He was the one who had walked in their shoes. He was the one who was seen at dumb sight. He was the guy who played marble. He was the guy who came from nowhere. He was that Liberian story of success. That meant something to them. And they had no doubt. They have know his imperfection, his inadequacy, his limitations. For the new, they too were limited. And I will say to you, it was a protest against failures that they have come to see one government after the other. It's disdain being expressed through a protest for quote unquote our educated class, in their opinion, failed them. They printed t-shirts, they have walked in the rain, they have walked in the sun, they took insults, they insulted others, and they were intentional about registering their point that we too must be at the table. We too must lead. So Weah was them taking leadership. Weah was them coming to say we can do it because you did not do it. This is the Weah who came to power. And in no time started helping himself. This is the Weah. On our home's hands today, they are facing the most crunching poverty of all. This is the Weah who dances buka. This is a Weah who makes music. This is a Weah who wants to be celebrated every day, who dresses elegantly and wants to be seen, that his pictures must be everywhere. This is a Weah who have forgotten them and not even having the slightest understanding that he has forgotten them. That others took insult for him. That others insulted others for him. And that people put so much trust in him. And it is no time for him to be joking. It's no time for music. It's no time for dancing. That it is time for him to give his best. He's been lied to that he's LIB best president. He wears a t-shirt with that meaningless saying. Today, the Weah is spending millions just to get America's attention, when all America is asking for is be transparent, let there be free speech, let there be free press, let there be good schools, let there be good roads, let there be electricity, let there be all of the things that a government should do. We know there are challenges, but at least fight corruption tooth and nail. But the very Weah came on and said, hey, I cannot disclose my asset because I have my family to protect. That Weah will build himself a mansion, will build 49 condominiums. That Weah will acquire himself a music recording studio. That Weah will acquire himself a movie theater. He will acquire himself all of the best cars. That Weah will get a private jet. He promised the country the wings of Liberia. And yet we are to see it. We are yet to see it, even though he dedicated it. That Weah completed nearly all of his projects, but even his party, the CDC project, the vocational school for citizens, to give them skills is yet to be completed. 5 years now. If this is not a letdown, and that Weah sits by, Mange builds a mausoleum for his mother. His officials are building homes all over the place because he set that very bad example, so they follow. And so he has robbed himself of the moral authority. He does not have the fortitude, the temerity, and the wherewithal to act when he should be acting. He compromised himself. He destroyed every moral standing he should have had. And so he cannot act. And so the U.S. government was compelled to sanction his officials. And he makes matters worse. He can't even fire them. Why that serious political decision by the U.S. government lays on his government, he goes around still. And if McGill is not being fired, he's providing justification, which is an affront to the very Weah man in the U.S. government, and Weah sits and calling for a useless and meaningless investigation as though there has ever been one that has come to a logical conclusion. Weah has always called for the investigations. Not one has come to a logical conclusion. Not the one for the 3D Mason boss, not the one with the $25 million. None. None has come to a logical conclusion. None has held anybody accountable. None. And the scandals are all over the place. And in the midst of poverty and scandals and deficiencies and ineffectiveness and crimes and crisis, budgetary looting and corruption all over the place, Weah thinks he got everything under control. All he thinks he does. What a story. And we see McGill right now, people are laying hands on him. People calling themselves man of God. So do you now see why somehow have no semblance of respect for people calling themselves man of God? It is not the name man of God, it's how you behave, how you conduct yourself, how you claim to be the representation of the Almighty Deity. You lay hands on someone who is being accused by the most powerful man, the most powerful government in the world. That is a challenge to that particular government. That is a disgrace. That is a horrible representation of us as a people. Because you religious leaders, when you act in this way, it puts us, all of us Liberians, in a difficult position. Who are these people? Only if President Weah has fired these spineless so-called men of God will not have the opportunity to disgrace our country in this manner. We saw them do the same thing during Charles Taylor's time. The evangelist's name I remember was Rehab Bonki. He went to Liberia. Charles Taylor prostrated himself on the ground. He was crying, "Oh Yahweh," and all these bishops and pastors were there. And they said they lay hands on Charles Taylor, and Charles Taylor, out of a sudden, has gone through redemption. There was a $1 million given, I believe. I'm not sure about that. I think 250,000 United States dollars. I can't remember the figure. But there was a huge amount of money that this evangelist left Charles Taylor Sanfon, huge portion of that money, and he was able to get crumbs to this man of God. Charles Taylor got handcuffed despite their hands laying and prayers on Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor is gone. He's in jail for 50 years. What a shame. What a disgrace. We Liberians, the American ambassador is right. It is about time you, the citizens, you are the main problem. Oh, I understand you elected people counting on them to serve you well. I don't blame you for electing them, because that's the only option you have, to vote for somebody hoping that they will do better. Even if you didn't trust the person should know that they've been elected to do well, to serve. So if they are not serving, I get it at that point. But when they are failing you, when they are subjecting you to poverty, when they are involved in massive corruption, and you sit there, you do nothing, then I blame you. Because you should know it is your responsibility to hold those you elect accountable. I will have to leave you now, for I have a cartoon to go and put. And so I will bring you our favorite song here, Focus on Liberia. That song that says, we are all Liberians. That nationalistic song will come and it will close us. Until I see you again, I want to say thank you for watching. Until I see you again, I want to say thank you for commenting, for sharing, for subscribing to our Facebook and our YouTube channel, and also willing to do business with Focus on Liberia as we educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia, for a better Liberia, for a responsible Liberia. And Liberians should remember to be only Liberians and no other but Liberians, for Liberia has so much to offer the nation and the world than the world has to offer Liberia. If only we believe that, for it is factual, and act in that direction, then we'll be on our path to destiny. It's possible. It's doable when you believe and when you act. My name is Anthony, and I have to say bye-bye now with my limitations. Thank you for watching and enjoy the song, We Are Indeed All Liberians. Bye-bye, folks.
We are Liberians.